What if I told you that right now, your brain is making decisions for you and lying about it afterward? Not lying like a criminal, lying like a magician. Smooth, convincing, invisible. A Nobel Prize winner named Daniel Kahneman spent 40 years proving this. And once you see how it works, you can't unsee it. You'll start catching your own brain in the act. While you're shopping, while you're arguing with someone you love, while you're scrolling your phone at midnight, convinced you're in control. You're not. Not entirely. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why.
Here's the big idea. You don't have one mind, you have two. And one of them is running the show right now, without asking your permission. Try something. I'm going to say 2 words. Bananas, vomit. Feel that? A flicker of disgust. Maybe your stomach reacted before your brain even finished processing the words. You didn't choose that response. It happened in a fraction of a second, completely outside your control. That's System 1, your fast mind. It reads faces, finishes sentences, slams the brakes when a car cuts you off. It never sleeps, never asks permission, and it just hijacked your body using 2 random words. Then there's System 2, the slow mind. It's the version of you that shows up for a math problem or a big decision. It feels logical, deliberate, in charge. Except it's not in charge. It's lazy. It shows up late, and most of the time it just rubber stamps whatever System 1 already decided for you. Here's what most people misunderstand. They think bad decisions come from not thinking hard enough. That's backwards. Bad decisions come from your slow brain trusting your fast brain when it shouldn't have.
And your fast brain is a genius liar. It never says, "I don't know." It never admits uncertainty. It just makes something up instantly and hands it to you dressed up as a fact. Think about how often you form a complete opinion about a stranger in the first 2 seconds of meeting them. A first email, a dating profile photo, a job candidate's handshake. Your brain hands you a verdict instantly. Confident, complete, and often completely wrong. Here's the part that should genuinely worry you. It never feels like guessing. It feels like knowing. Which means right now, you have no idea how many facts in your head are actually just fast-brained guesses wearing a costume. Stick with me. The next one is even harder to believe. This gets even stranger. Once your fast brain decides it likes something, it starts lying to protect that decision. It's called the halo effect. If someone is attractive, we assume they're also smarter, kinder, more trustworthy, none of which is actually connected to how they look. Companies exploit this constantly. That's why brands hire likable celebrities to sell you products that have nothing to do with the celebrity's actual skill. Your brain quietly links, "I like this person," to "I trust this claim," and you never notice the switch. Here's my honest take. This is the single most dangerous bias for your daily life, because it doesn't just affect strangers. It affects how you judge your boss, your partner, even yourself. One good impression, and your brain builds an entire fictional character around it. But the next one is worse, because this time, your brain doesn't just misjudge someone else. It secretly rewrites the question you're even trying to answer. Here's where it gets almost unbelievable. When your brain faces a hard question, it often doesn't answer that question. It quietly swaps in an easier one, without telling you. Someone asks, "How happy are you with your life?" That's a genuinely hard question. So instead, your brain answers something easier. "How do I feel right now, in this exact moment?" And it hands you that answer, dressed up as if it answered the original question. This is why your mood on the day of a survey can shape your entire life satisfaction score. This is why one bad morning can convince you your whole career is wrong. Your brain substituted the question, and you never caught it happening. Think about how often you do this in real arguments. Someone asks, "Do you actually love your job?" And instead you answer, Was today stressful? Two completely different questions. Same confident answer. Now here's a question. How do you know when your brain is doing this to you right now? You don't. And that leads straight into the idea that changed how I see the world more than any other.
Confidence has almost nothing to do with being right. Kahneman studied stock pickers, doctors, political experts. People paid enormous amounts of money because they sound certain, and the data was brutal. Many so-called experts performed no better than random chance, yet they felt just as confident as the ones who were actually skilled. Why? Because confidence isn't built from accuracy, it's built from a smooth, consistent story. If the story feels coherent, your brain rates it as true, regardless of whether it actually is. This is exactly why confident scammers are so convincing, why a smooth-talking coworker gets promoted over someone quietly brilliant, why the loudest voice in a meeting is mistaken for the smartest one. If I had learned this one idea in school, I would have stopped confusing sounds sure with is right a decade earlier. But even confidence isn't the strongest force pulling your decisions around. There's something even more powerful hiding underneath almost every choice you make, and you felt it today already.
Losing something hurts roughly twice as much as gaining the same thing feels good. Lose $50? Miserable. Find $50? Mildly nice, then forgotten by dinner. Same number, wildly different emotional weight. This single idea explains so much modern behavior. Why you can't sell a stock that's dropping, even when the data says sell. Why people stay in bad relationships. Leaving feels like a loss. Staying feels like nothing. Why limited time only and prices going up tomorrow work so well on you. Your brain isn't calculating the deal. It's panicking about a potential loss. Negotiators, marketers, and salespeople understand this better than most therapists understand the human mind. They're not tricking your logic. They're triggering your loss reflex. And your logic shows up too late to stop it. Now, save this last one for the end, because it doesn't just explain a bias. It quietly rearranges how you think about your entire life. Kahneman says you actually have two selves. The experiencing self, who lives moment to moment, feeling things in real time, and the remembering self, who looks back afterward and builds a story. Here's the unsettling part. You don't choose your life based on the self who experiences it. You choose based on the self who remembers it. And the remembering self is a terrible narrator. It barely cares about duration. A wonderful 2-week vacation and a wonderful 1-week vacation get remembered almost the same. It obsesses instead over how things ended and whether there was one intense peak moment. This is why people stay in relationships that were mostly draining because of a few unforgettable good memories. Why we replay a painful ending on a loop even when 90% of the relationship was fine. Your remembering self is editing your life story right now, discarding most of what actually happened and keeping only the highlights and the ending. Most people finish this idea and move on. But sit with it for a second. The version of you making life decisions might not even be the version of you who has to live them. Here's what nobody tells you about your own mind. It was never designed to be accurate. It was designed to be fast, confident, and convincing enough to keep you alive. Every belief you've ever felt certain about walked through the same two systems. One quick and instinctive, one slow and mostly asleep at the wheel. Some of those beliefs are true. Many are just smooth stories your brain built and never bothered to check. So the next time you feel completely sure about something, a person, a decision, a memory, ask yourself one quiet question. Is this actually true, or does it just feel true? Because your brain will never tell you the difference. That part is on you. If one of these 6 ideas already caught you red-handed, you already know which one. Tell me, which bias just called you out? And before you go, understand what just happened here.
Most people will scroll past this exact information for the rest of their life and never know their own mind was working against them. You didn't. You're already ahead. But here's the thing. I'm breaking down one mental trap like this every single week. Miss the next one, and you go right back to making decisions blind, while everyone who hits subscribe keeps getting sharper. That's not a guilt trip. That's just math. So hit like if this rewired something in your head, and subscribe if you don't want to be the person who finds out about the next blind spot too late.
This channel only grows because people like you decide it's worth it. Don't let this be the video you almost subscribed after.